Hello and welcome to another episode of the
Lume Plotters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo. Today, life. No, we're not life.
Yes,
When you
today
hear
we
this, it's
teach
not
you
life.
about life.
We teach you something very important about life. Yeah, that's true. Life lessons from us.
Yes.
Watch collecting.
Exactly, which I still don't like the term watch collecting because I feel like collecting you are doing something consciously, and it's like I have 16 Submariners from the very beginning to the very end, and they all look the same, and there are slight differences because one has red text, one has white text. That's collecting.
Double red spider dials.
Yeah,
super
that's
duper
collecting.
kniffle.
What we're doing is just fucking hoarding over here, I think. That's at the end of
Watch
the day.
hoarding. Yeah, I think we are probably the two collectors with the least amount of themes in our collection.
All over the place. All over the place. So this is the problem is I don't think I did maybe back, earlier when I was buying certain iconic watches from certain brands, but then that went off the rails. So
I think I do have to now refer to myself as a watch enthusiast, right? I think that's what we can say. We are watch enthusiasts. We are horology enthusiasts. We like this whole things. We like to read about it. We like to do all of these things. Talk about
honestly, the best thing is WIS, right? We're just watch idiot savants.
Yeah, true.
We know, but we're still idiots. So
absolutely, we are buying these obsolete things that nobody needs. And we think they are super important for us.
I know we base our life around it, right? Like this is the next watch that's really going to make me happy. That's going to change my life around.
It, yeah. So I had a one watch, let's say it, interaction where I realized that somebody's really eyeing my watch. That's
like in a scary way.
No, not in a scary way, just in a way like, oh, I think he understood what it was, right? Yeah, the person was wearing a Omega two-tone Speedmaster with a black dial. It was a pretty big one. I'm not 100% sure which one it was. I don't think it's in the catalog anymore with a black dial.
I don't think two-tone Speedmasters are even in the catalog anymore.
They are.
They still have? Because I haven't seen one.
I think they have one. I've ever seen one. Not this professional line. I think it's the Heritage, right? Yeah.
Or whatever they call it. But
anyhow,
okay, go on.
So he was wearing this. I was eyeing his watch, trying not to be too obvious. And he was looking at I think I was wearing the Daytona at the time. Yeah. So my Daytona got a few scratches, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's horrible. On the lugs. The first few ones, they hurt a bit.
No, they don't. At all. I don't care. At all.
For me, they did.
I once again, going after whoever bought my Submariner, that thing was beat. Like, there was chunks taken out of the lugs. Not huge chunks, but, there was clearly some knocks that it had taken, and I still think it's cool. I liked it better that way, and I told the guy who was buying it, I said, there's a few scratches here and there. Obviously, the bracelet I never wore, because it was always on the NATO strap, so the bracelet was fantastic. But the actual head of the watch, I wore the hell out of it. I have pictures of it, at the beach and, covered in sand and dirt and mud and swimming and whatever.
Yeah,
so
sliding down the sandpaper.
Yeah, essentially, the same.
Sitting on the watch, going down a ski slope.
Yeah, I took it everywhere, and I told them it can be fixed. Right, you can take it to a jeweler and they'll buff it out.
Oh yeah,
but I told them I wouldn't do it. I would keep it how it is. And then the guy said, "Yeah, I totally understand. I don't care. I like it how it is."
Yeah.
So
I think this is the one. This is just you have to get used to. The first, as I said, if it's a pristine watch and a brand new watch, then it's always a bit like, ooh, the first scratch you just see it. So just after if it's covered in scratches, you don't care. But then I also realized that because I just inspected the watch after I came home from my trip, and I realized when I looked at the loop, because I thought there's some specks on it, and I thought, no, that's a little scratch
in the dial or what?
No, on the lugs. So, but then I realized, you know what? It's not so bad because I can't actually see it with a naked eye, just with a
With a fully dressed
loop.
eye.
Yeah, with a loop and good light. So what are you wearing today?
In the theme of our episode, for those of you that have seen the picture that I'm going to post about it, I'm wearing an Oris.
Oh,
I'm wearing my, and this is once again, before I put this on before we had discussed what we're going to talk about today, but I am wearing my Hodinkee Oris, the caliber 400, which is still one of my most worn watches. I was checking the wrist track app, Speedmaster in number 1.
Yeah.
And then Explorer in number 2. And then third was the Oris, and fourth was the Tudor Black Bay 54. And these 4 watches are kind of head over heels ahead of everyone else. So probably they get 3 times the amount of wear that the next, like the 5th rank watch got. So pretty big gap.
See, I have a problem as well with my wrist track app. Because now that I have swapped my Vacheron Constantin, the silver dial, sold that, paid a bit extra, got the blue dial boutique edition, brand new piece, right?
It's 0 wears.
So now, if I put it in, of course, in the wrist track app, the old one is sold, the new one is new. Purchase price is the entire price, the full price. But of course, the wear of the old one is not counted to the new one, obviously. So now my costs of wear is so terribly high that it shows basically one big bar, and then the rest is one slim, tiny bar.
This is the thing.
Shoot.
Now, my issue is, what about all the watches that we had prior to getting the app? I don't think the app is fair. Because I've had the Speedy for 10 years, and I got this watch app last year or 2 years ago or whenever, right? It's not fair to the one watch I've kept throughout all of this.
Yes.
All of my buying and selling, the Speedy was there from the beginning. That was my first actual proper, I would say, peak horology kind of watch.
I mean, look, if you have, let's say, the price in dirhams, let's say you paid 14,000 dirhams for the watch, right? Let's assume. Then you can do an easy calculation. 14,000 dirhams means that if you wore it 14,000 times, so on 14,000 days,
it's worn 1 dirham per day. Years?
So this would be about in 38 years.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm 39 years old.
Yeah, what I'm saying with that is that you, it's low, obviously, the price if you wore a watch for 10 years.
It's not the price. It's not the price. It's the fact that
you wore it so much.
It's all those wear counts. I would like to see them.
But you could, you can go back in time and put this in even for, 10 years ago.
Yeah, but
it's just a lot of work.
I could look back. It's a lot of work. I have pictures of probably the majority of the times I wore it. So I think that is if I'm not mistaken, the only watch that I've had before the app. Maybe there's 1 or 2 more. I don't remember. But point of story, when I see, X number of wears, 65 wears, it's not accurate because I've worn it way more than that.
Yeah, that's true. If you have the watch for longer, obviously. Yeah. So I'm wearing my Blancpain.
Kissed by JCB.
Exactly, kissed by Jean-Claude Villeret. It has this very long name, Quantième La Lune,
Contemporaire,
annual calendar, and so on, in rose gold. And I just wore it because the gray strap that is on it matches my gray t-shirt.
Very good reason.
It's impressive. I'm impressed with myself.
I am wearing, I don't know if you can tell, I'm wearing my Oris is gray or a green dial, right? I don't know if you see it's green dial. Okay. And I'm going to stand up here for you. What color are my dress pants?
Oh my God. Minty green, sort of.
I'm wearing green pants and a green watch. So usually every time I wear these gray trousers, I'm going to put on, green trousers, I put on the green watch.
So in tune. We are so in tune today. That's amazing.
Because, I put on the pants and I was like, okay, what other watch would go with this? This has to be this one. So,
you know what happened this weekend? This weekend was a watch auction. And there was the Glashütte Original Panograph that I was eyeing one or two auctions before. And it sold for 17,900 dirhams, first bid, plus fees. So about 20,500, 21,000 dirhams.
Okay.
I was a bit sad because I really, really like this watch and the price is just insane. This watch is still in the catalog exactly the same way, except I think with a different dial at the moment, but for 135,000 dirhams.
Jesus.
Yes, and it sold for 20. 20.
That is crazy.
I think this is one of these moments where we have to look at the last year and look at the data that we have from the watch brands, and we see Breguet and Blancpain and Glashütte Original, and everything is basically tanking, right? In revenue, not so much in revenue, but in volume, right? Breguet,
yes,
right, and all of this stuff. It's what is this watch group doing with their super luxury brands? They really have to do something. It is just not normal that they're so bad. There was a Jacques Dro is also a Swiss watch brand.
No, I went down a Jacques Dro rabbit hole because a friend of mine bought one.
Yep,
and he got a very nice the big. It's called the Big Second, I think the Grand Second, which is essentially tiny little hour and minute, and then a big old second counter. And once again, that watch was about 40K new, and he paid, I think, 15K or something ridiculously cheap, and it's a very good looking watch.
Yeah, there was one on the auction as well. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, this is the one. He bought the one from the auction.
The Mono Pusher.
Oh, no. From this last one. No. This was an
this
auction
one
a couple ago.
Out yesterday.
Yeah, no. This was on the auction a couple ago. So he bought that one.
Because this one from last one was also 19,900 first bid won it. So it was about 24,000, I think. White gold case, 43 millimeters, 14 millimeters tall. Of course, mono pusher chronograph. And you think, a white gold mono pusher chronograph from Jacques Dro, amazing value for money. I mean, it is big, fat, tall, probably extremely heavy because of the size and the material on it. But and then Jacques Dro, do you know that they are not selling normal watches anymore, right? They have decided last year.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
To cancel all of their point of sales. They had, I think, 180 point of sales in the world. They don't exist anymore. Nobody sells Jacques Dro anymore. They have one point of sale, which is their factory. So if you want a Jacques Dro, you have to go there to, I think, Neuchâtel or wherever they are in Switzerland, and have to see the factory, talk to the designers, talk to the people who make your watch, because they are only doing custom orders, which is an insane change in strategy, right? I mean, and also such a big risk if you think about it.
Yeah, but I wonder if they have enough customers to do this, to pull this off.
100%. I don't know. I mean, they have a huge factory. If you look at the pictures of this big building and you think, well, if you only wait for people to come through the door, that's a bit, oh, you better have really interesting projects going on, right? But I guess because they're custom, they can charge, of course, a lot
more.
But still, I think it's going to be I'm really curious and want to see how this is playing out for them.
Now, this randomly reminds me of another brand that recently went defunct.
Okay, which is
Karl F. Bucherer.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't talk about this. I just remembered about it. But
Karl F. Bucherer. And then that's great because now we can put Rolex in the title.
Yeah. Rolex sells.
Bad, guys. Rolex. Bad.
No, I mean, once again, I looked through their catalog and it's mostly shit. So there's that one that I'm still liking, though. I don't know why I still like that stupid world timer. I still like it, even though we know that it's not a real world timer.
But I'm still... Yeah. But I think they had also normal world timers, no? Didn't they? I think at some stage.
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe. But right now, the only world timer they had at the end was this fake one.
I must say, so for me, Karl F. Bucherer had a lot of expertise. They made a lot of complications, and they made these complications in-house, most of them. They had also a lot of outsourced movements that they used in their lower-end watches. But they also had this peripheral, the Monero peripheral rotor
So this is, by the way,
movement.
this is what another weird thing.
Yeah.
The World Timer uses the peripheral
This is pretty cool.
rotor movement,
I like
which
this.
is
I like
really
this
cool.
movement. Yeah.
But then why wouldn't you have gone through the extra effort of putting some other type of, put a
I know.
third hand on the dial?
I know, that's really weird.
Or
Just
fourth
doing
hand,
a
I should say.
fake a mental world timer in it. But
By that logic, JLC could use the Polaris to do the exact same thing.
yeah, but just everybody can do that same thing, right? You just
Anyone
need
who
to have
has
a
any
bezel.
watch with a bezel, exactly, can do this.
Yeah, silly. Anyhow, so I think that Bucherer, now, of course, we need to tell the listeners, if you don't know, the brand Karl F. Bucherer watches, so just the watches, has been discontinued. So they stopped producing watches. All the employees are supposedly getting offers from Rolex to, because the Bucherer brand or the Bucherer organization was purchased by Rolex, I think a year ago or 1.5 years ago. And part of this purchase agreement with Mr. Bucherer himself, who passed away, was to actually continue that brand itself as a jewelry reseller. And of course, watch reseller. And Bucherer was the world's biggest reseller of Rolex watches. And I think that's one of the reasons why Rolex didn't want, let's say, Omega to buy him, right?
Yeah.
Or some other companies. So they basically decided, okay, let's do it. Let's buy that. And then we have immediately our own shops as well.
Yeah, and then Karl F. Bucherer, the brand of the watches, came with this.
Correct. And they did I think they had no idea what to do with it. I thought, oh, that's great. Now they have the expertise for all of the different complications. But on the other hand, I think Rolex probably has expertise of watchmakers who could potentially do all of this anyway. But they're just not doing it because they're focused on a very, very different path, not the complication path, but the make everything super robust, longevity, blah, 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 these kind of things, right? So easy to service. I mean, every watchmaker you ask, if you ask them, and I did this recently with the A. Lange & Söhne watchmaker, who said, working on a Rolex is a pleasure because it's designed to be worked on, right? Super easy to disassemble, reassemble, clean, and everything else. It's just so thoughtfully made for watchmakers as well, the movements. Anyhow, so yeah, Karl F. Bucherer, the watch brand is defunct. The people got offers to move to other Rolex sites to as work as watchmakers in the other production. So I guess it's nobody got fired really, which is a good thing, but and a very Swiss thing to do, I guess. And but the point is that the brand is not anymore there. And as you said, mostly shitty watches. I agree with you on that. I had a few of these watches on my wrist. I appreciated their quality, especially the bracelets and all of the stuff. Bucherer coming from the jewelry side as well. So they knew how to make or source good stuff. But yeah, I never pulled the trigger because it was always something was always missing, right? Something was always holding me back and thinking, even if it was a pre-owned piece with a good price, it just never really made me want to buy it. And that's why I think, as hard as it sounds, I don't think they will be missed.
I don't, but now I have to say, in eBay, I still have the World Timer Karl F. Bucherer Hodinkee edition in my cart. I'm waiting for it to drop in price. I've been watching it since it was $7,500. It is now steadily on $6,000. I got an offer for $5,500.
Okay.
So frankly, if it gets a little bit cheaper, let's say 4,500 US, which is what in dirhams, 15,000 dirhams, I would be interested. It is the Monero peripheral rotor movement, which I think for 15,000 dirhams, a brand new watch.
You can't complain there. You can't absolutely complain.
I can't. So then I would sell something and buy that. But that's questionable what would go. But I think I could make that work fairly easily. And I think it would be a neat watch to have, especially now that it's defunct.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of cool. And then once again, at the end, it was a Rolex brand. Like Tudor,
It was. You cannot deny that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a Rolex brand.
which is kind of cool.
Hmm?
So let's see. We'll see what happens. I haven't not had the gumption to send him an actual offer yet, though.
What else Bucher did, which I think is worth mentioning to our dear listeners, and we are big in Poland, by the way. We are in the top 5 in Poland. Thank you guys. Thank you for listening to us. What I wanted to say about this kind of Bucher, they have used their own brand because of the entire profit that they would take from the watch and revenue, right? They have actually done this as so-called, in German we call this Beikauf. Things you have to buy in order to get something else. There's a word for it in German.
So you're telling me
they have made in
buying...
Bucherer stores, they have made you buy some Bucherer watches in order to get the nice Pepsi or a Daytona or something. And yet, even with this strategy, selling Bucherer watches, they have never made profit, ever, in the history of Bucherer watches. Can you believe that?
Yes, I can. I've seen the watches. I can very much believe that.
You think like, okay.
But I still, this is what intrigues me, is this exact thing. Like, no one liked them, yet they existed for a fairly long period of time.
They were the pet project of the boss and owner of the company. So obviously nobody wanted to say, should we not just exit? And probably if it's his pet project, okay, fine.
This sounds like a Cubitus to me, right? The pet project of the CEO.
Yes.
But I don't know. Let's see. For the right price, I think they are cool for what they have done, and they had know-how, as you said.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, moving along, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
So, I have watched a video on Watch Crunch, the YouTube channel, called The Phases of Watch Collecting. And I'll go through the phases that they mentioned. They saw this from a meme somewhere, and I've seen it before as well, but I didn't pay much attention to it. Mm-hmm. But I don't agree with everything in here because I think you and I both will disagree with a lot of it. But we want to kind of build our own Lume plotters phases of watch collecting or watch, I don't know what we want to call it, watch knowledge building, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, your phases as a watch nerd, watch enthusiast, watch collector, you can call. Yeah,
as we said, we don't want to be collectors. Yeah. There's 2 things I don't want to be called. One is a collector, and the second one is an expert.
Yes, enthusiast. I think that's for me.
Enthusiast is essentially a good word, but this.
Watch lover.
There's a word for this, and I'm trying to. What was it? It was the Dunning-Kruger effect. Are you familiar with this?
Dunning-Kruger, yes.
Yes. Yeah. So essentially, the people who think that they are experts are most likely the ones that are not the experts, right?
Yes, the ones exactly, that are very, very convinced that they know exactly what, because I watched 3 YouTube videos, so now I'm an expert on things.
Exactly.
Obviously, right?
So this is exactly what this is one of these fallacies, that the people that know the least will think they can convince themselves that they know the most. And now this was kind of debunked very well, saying essentially, in order for someone to know as much as an expert,
yes,
let's call it, I should say, in order to be an expert, you would have to know what is in this field, and you would have to know all of the things that you still don't know.
Yeah.
Therefore, you understand that even if you are what we would call an expert in a topic, you're still not the expert because, there's so much more to learn. There's so many things you don't know.
Yeah.
But the people who just kind of get started, they think very, falsely, very easily that they know everything already. And this is an issue that we often have. So for instance, somebody told me this when you're in academia. Imagine kind of a ball with 3 layers. You have a tennis ball or something, right? 75% of that is a knowledge. The volume of that ball is your knowledge in a certain area. So let's say, I don't know what, mechanical engineering. You get your bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and you know already about 75% of that ball. But there's still 25% that you do not know.
Yeah.
But you would have assumed, and most likely will, that you know all of these things already. And I remember there was a very clear line when I was in university doing my bachelor's where I felt I knew a lot. And then the more I learned, the less I realized I knew. And essentially, the idea with this is the higher your degree, the more you learn in education, the more years you spend, this perceptive ball of knowledge gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So with the most exposure, you realize all the things, all of your kind of blind spots, everything that you do not know. So,
and I totally agree with you. This is the problem with this, or not the problem. This is the issue that people with very limited knowledge totally overestimate the amount of abilities that they have, right? So it's really, that's basically the Dunning-Kruger effect that you, but people who are in the field, they have a much better understanding of how little they actually know.
Yeah.
Because they have an idea of how much there is to know.
Exactly.
Right? So if I ask somebody about the difference between a Phillips hairspring and the Breguet overcoil and a whatever, what Moser uses one that is called Baumann hairspring. I have forgotten what it was. I can't even remember the name, but something with the man on the end, Baumann, Krautmann, something man. So these are all hairsprings that have a specific different way of being coiled, attached. I don't know.
And then they unwind in a certain way, and each one has different properties.
Yeah, these are the balance.
Some of them are
balance springs, and there's things in it that I have no idea what it is, but I know that I don't know, right? So I could not call myself an orology expert because I don't know, for example, this thing. I just don't know, right?
I totally, this is exactly what I'm thinking about is the people that call them, and this is one of the phases, the self-proclaimed expert, which I never believed.
But when I see these YouTube pre-owned dealers,
oh God, and
deciding that I'm a watch expert and this is the watch expert's opinion on things, right? Yeah. It's like, no, you're not a watch expert. You're a watch price expert.
And the thing is and this is one of the reasons why I don't get into vintage watches.
Yeah.
Because I know how screwed you can get. So,
there was a very good post on the Substack from King Flum, right? King Flum does this about the auction houses, and there are certain workshops filled with some of the best watchmakers you can think of, making vintage watches that are not actually vintage. Mm-hmm. So it's a scary business, working for auction houses to create this kind of unique prototype, super duper excitement pieces that have questionable provenance.
Provenance, yeah, exactly. So, but anyway, all right, without further ado, let's talk about these so-called phases of watch collecting.
Okay.
So, phase 1, Seiko.
Yes.
Essentially, you go and you buy a bunch of Seikos and you're realizing that mechanical watches are cool. They don't have to be expensive.
How do you get to this phase? I think it's the first time that you think like, I think I should wear a watch and not just a Apple Watch or anything else.
No, I think you've always worn a watch in this case.
Maybe.
So I've always had watches, but they were Timexes and this and that. And then I think they're talking... It's like first mechanical watch, right?
Yeah, first like a proper, mechanical watch. And I think that's when you go and you think, oh, let me see what's out there. And then you
do an Amazon search.
Exactly. And you see something ridiculously expensive and you think like, this is silly, right? Nobody buys watches that are expensive because you're still thinking in normal human terms about a watch, right? And you see Seiko and you think,
it's $50 or 200
euros or 50 euros, depending on what level you go into. You go like, okay, that's about more reasonable, and that's then a watch that you wear for a couple of years.
Although now Seiko has become significantly more expensive than it used to be, so these people aren't what was originally $50 to $100 is now $300, $400, which I disagree with. But now, nonetheless, this is kind of when we started.
Yeah.
Then you get into phase 2, Tag Heuer and other shitty Swiss. Essentially, you've done your Seiko. You want to move to the motherland. You want to have something proper and Swiss. And Tag Heuer is what most of these people fall into. This is what I fell into. This is old Tag Heuer. Once again, we're talking kind of 10 years ago, Tag Heuer, when they made, they were Swiss watches. But essentially, if you compared them to Omega, they were always about half the price
They
of
were
Omega.
more entry level or more friendly for the wallet. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I never had a Tag Heuer. Ever.
That's crazy. I've had 2
in my life. Yeah, it's interesting. I think that's why you said other shitty Swiss. At the time, I think other shitty Swiss could be considered like the Longines, maybe entry level.
The Longines, the Oris,
things,
these kinds of things, right? The tier down.
Because
right?
I had a Mont Blanc.
And the Tissot's. Essentially, right?
Yeah, Tissot.
That's I think for me, Tissot was the step under Tag Heuer at the time.
Correct.
Then you go into phase 3, one decent Swiss, and this is exactly what I did. By the way, Tag Heuer and other shitty Swiss. I went from Tag Heuer to Tudor, and at the time, back in the day, Tudor was still other shitty Swiss. Right? It was not anything crazy, and I sold my Tudor and my Tag Heuer to purchase my Omega Speedmaster, and that is my one decent Swiss.
Okay.
So I agree with the list so far. So after you have your one decent Swiss, you go into
the next phase
4,
which is...
buy all Rolex.
Yes.
Which absolutely happened to me. I bought my Sub, I bought my Datejust, I bought my Explorer because I was all about Rolex. Rolex is the king. Rolex is the greatest.
Yeah, totally. And I think we all been there somewhat. You go back and forth to this Rolex sometimes, right? You bounce a bit back and forth between some levels of watch collecting, I think, because there was a time when I had lots of Tudor, lots of Rolex, and my Rolex side grew a lot. Now I'm down to 1 again. But Rolex always has a bit of a pull, especially in the beginning when you think, no, Rolex is not for me. That's for pimps and for
pimps
people that are weird and show-offs and pretends and wannabes. I'm not like this, right? I'm the cool, composed.
I'm knowledgeable.
Yeah, exactly. I know that they are mass-produced and not handmade. And
I won't fall for this tricks.
Correct. And then you realize the more you know about Rolex, the more you handle Rolex, the more you try Rolex on watch meetups and stuff, you think like, okay, there is a point to Rolex watches. They are really, really nice. And then when you start buying your first one, that's it. Then you are going all Rolex for a while.
Yeah.
And then?
And then stage 5 is it's vintage bitch.
Yeah. Yes, that's
and I can see this happening. If I were to have gone down the vintage rabbit hole, I would have, after my Rolex phase, walked around telling everybody, "Oh, but this is vintage. This is circa 1974. This is blah 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 blah."
That's a Sea Dweller double red.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I would do, and that leads us very quickly into number 6,
this is
being
not,
a smartass.
Yeah, exactly. This is a GMT Master 2, but it's a stick dial.
Yeah, it's the fat lady. It's that.
Sophia Loren.
You have to know all of these things, and then not only do you know it, you will tell other people, and you won't let them forget it. So this is the thing. I'm sure this is the stage when no one wants to be around you.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, did you know that when this dial is cracked after a while with the sun exposure, it's called a spider dial?
Yeah.
And people will go like, yawn. Okay.
I know.
I have this important call I have to attend to now. Bye-bye.
I think my wife's calling. It's an emergency.
Yeah.
The next one after that is becoming a self-proclaimed expert.
Vintage expert.
Vintage expert, whatever we want to call it. Vintage expert, they say. I could see that. I'm, of course... I never went through the vintage phase, but I definitely think that at some point I thought I was a watch expert, 100%. I don't think I called myself this, but this was probably many, many years ago, and I thought I knew everything.
Well, you compare yourself to your peers, right? And you think that sometimes at some stage you overtook them with your knowledge because you were just more tenacious and more,
You
more
absorbed
eager.
all the
You were like
information.
this little terrier that just didn't let go from the leg that it just bit in, right? It's just like, "Arr," you just were more energetic with your all collection and reading and getting into the topic. So yes, you
Yeah.
decided I'm more of an expert than my peers. But of course, that
Yes.
doesn't really make you an expert. It just makes you a bit more knowledgeable than your peers.
Exactly. So, all right, this leads us to the downfall, of course.
But this is so far we are still going up, right? We're going up
Now
in,
we have started the descent.
in
And I remember this point for me. I remember exactly when this was for me. Number 8, realizing the watch industry is full of shit.
yeah.
This for me happened at Dubai Watch Week. The last time we were there, we were interviewing, who was it? I don't even remember who it was. And I was like, what the hell are we all doing here? Like, we're all here because of these stupid little things on our wrist. Like, it was a very clear, clairvoyant moment for me when I was like, what the hell?
This is all shit.
Shouldn't we
What are we doing here?
Yeah, exactly. So shouldn't we imagine all of the people here taking their minds and reapplying it to something that is actually useful?
Oh,
That's where I was in my.
but it's on the other hand, you have to see it from a positive light. Watches bring us fun, right? They bring us happiness to a certain extent. This is a nice hobby. It doesn't hurt anybody. So it is you are creating little pieces that make other people very happy when they can possess them, fondle with them. We all been there when we're going just randomly. Go to your watch box, open it, take out a few watches, write them, set them, or just play around with them. Think about which strap you're going to change, and all of these little things where you just sit there and, in brackets, play with your watches, right? And that's happiness, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
For a lot of
some
people.
form of happiness.
But yes, the watch industry itself is full of these things. Excrement, because there's so much of cloak and dagger going on, so much of
like what we just said, Karl F. Bucher being closed
Opaqueness.
because why not? They bought the Bucher stores because they didn't want Omega to buy it, right? So they wanted to have it themselves so that they can still sell Rolexes.
Yeah.
And then, all this nonsense of just closing down his line of watches because why not? This is all the nonsense. Behind
also
it, right?
about this whole we are making everything in-house, and then finding out that they don't. I mean, just recently somebody approached me in a forum, and I can't speak about names, of course, and I can't speak about the brands, but he said, I have spoken to a person who's actually making, and I can make the name, this name, Andreas Strehler. I think you probably heard this name a few times already. He designed, for example, for H. Moser, the perpetual calendar movement that they're still using, right? So this construction is patented by Andreas Strehler, and he does that. Does he talk about it on his website? Yes, because it's public. However, he also has designed a lot of things for watch brands that have an NDA with him to say, okay, you do this for us, but you are not allowed to ever say that you did. Because these brands are basically just pretending that it's in-house and telling everybody in the world that it's in-house, while partially they don't even make it because they are making it or buying it from him finished, right?
Yes, and if you guys go to Teddy Bolasar's new video that he did very, very recently, it's called The Different Tiers of Watchmaking Fully Explained. He goes into all this, essentially talking about all of these different tiers of you sent me a link.
Yeah, I sent you this link where Andreas Strehler talks about this. But as I said, I now know of a couple of brands who claim that they're doing everything in-house, that actually use the expertise of somebody else. And this is something where you think, why are they doing it?
So it's very, very rare that you have a full integrated manufacturer.
Which I find is okay. But the thing is, look, Fierce watches. I don't know. You know Fierce watches, right?
Yes, I
From
know,
the
yeah.
UK. So they have on their website, on every model, they tell you the crystal is from Hong Kong. The movement is from Switzerland, right? And they do exactly tell you what they make different on this movement. They're saying, for example, we have a custom-made rotor and we put a certain whatever logo on it. That's it, right? Or we finish it, if they finish it, depending on which watch model it is, they do. Then they say the strap comes from whatever, Italy, right? Or France. And then they say where the case is made and where the dial is made. So Giles, for example, Nicholas makes in Germany. They have in the Black Forest a dial maker. All of that is fine. Nobody is hurt. You buy a Fierce watch.
Why are you trying to trick people?
It's a win-win.
Exactly.
People who don't care don't care. People who do care, they are happy that they know. So it's a win-win.
So this is how I would. But anyway, Teddy said the kind of entry-level tier of these watches is the people that do their final design and assembly, as you just mentioned with Fears, right? Then you get into the type 2, which is the industrial group. The industrial group are the people that are a part of a big conglomerate, Swatch group, these kinds of guys that are just pumping out these quote unquote H50 movements, like for the Hamiltons, which are technically just ETA 2801s and so forth, right?
Yeah, the updated versions, from ETA.
Then you get into the industrial independents, like Zinn, that are still making things on an industrial scale, but they're independent. Then you get into, but they're still using movements from other brands, right? Correct. Then you get into industrial proprietary, which is still industrial made watches in large scale, but they're using proprietary movements. This could be Tudor, for instance.
Yeah, on Oris to a certain extent.
And Oris, both, if you're with the 400. Then you get into industrial bespoke. These are watches that are still industrial level, but something's a little bit fancier. They've changed something. We get moon phases. We get other types of movements that are bespoke to specific watch models, as opposed to entire lines of things. So, for instance, if we talk about the JLC, the 802. I think it's called the 802.
Yeah,
I have a big picture of it. I don't remember. I think it's 802. The reverso movement is only applicable to one frigging watch. There's nothing else you can do with it.
1,300 calibers they made so far.
Yeah,
they designed and produced. Crazy.
Then you get into hot horology, which you're still buying stuff from other people.
Yep.
And then at the very, very end, you have manufacturer, full manufacturer, which is funny because a lot of people call themselves manufacturer. Look at Tudor, right? Look at Tudor and then Kinesi. They call themselves a manufacturer, but they're really not.
Well, they are majority owned by Tudor, so you can say, or Rolex Tudor, so you can say they are.
He called it industrial proprietary.
Right. That is
right? Because
this is where we're going into the area where it's borderline, because Kinesi produces some movements exclusively for Tudor. They put the same movement in another watch, but with certain components changed. For example, the silicon hairspring is changed, and one or two other things are changed. So mostly in the regulating organ, right? So that they are not giving to others, so that they can still call it a manufacturer movement. And this is the cool thing. Tudor,
no. We're talking about manufacturer watches.
Yeah. Okay.
Meaning not the movement, the entire thing.
Okay. Tudor doesn't say that. I think they're using suppliers for certain things.
Yes, they are. And this is what he was saying.
Things, yeah.
So in this category, he has people like Roger Smith,
who
makes every single component by hand. He has people like Rolex listed. Rolex is a manufacturer because they bought everyone to become fully vertically integrated, right? And then, of course, the biggest one. Can you guess?
Patek?
No. God, no. Of course not. Seiko.
Seiko, yes. Yeah, they make everything.
They are the largest manufacturer where they actually make every single component of every single watch in-house.
Including the oils.
Including the oils, the lubricants, and the quartz crystals, which is ridiculous. So, anyway, point of story. Back to being
Yeah, you realize
this is
that
what
the
we're
watch
talking about.
industry is
Everyone is
full of
lying to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
right,
a
then-
lot of being lied to and about the value of things, because just because it's super complicated to make, is the value better? Let's say you buy a car and you're saying like, hey, this car is I handmade the car and it took me 10,000 hours to build this car instead of
It still
20
sucks,
hours.
though.
And it's not better. It's not more comfortable. It's not prettier. It doesn't drive faster. Why should you pay more money for it? But
Because somebody wasted their time building it.
yes, exactly.
Doesn't make sense.
So, yeah,
This is another thing. So then that leads us to number 9, which is been there, done that, right? And this is kind of where I feel like I am now, is I just don't care anymore. And I'm just like, excellent, you bought yourself a Pepsi. Congratulations, you can be one of the sheep and everyone has one.
Yeah.
It just doesn't resonate with me as well as it used to.
So funny that you say that. I had a discussion with a friend of mine recently, and he said, should I feel bad that I just don't care anymore what's going to happen at Watches and Wonders? If they change the dial, if there's the Pepsi discontinued, I don't care. Because I think as a certain maturity in your watch business, it's like, so what, right? Different dial color. Hey,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's not even worth my time talking about
And if
it.
something cool comes out, I'll buy it. I don't care, right? But this is the thing, is I have to like it for this. And I'm not going to sit there and fawn over a new color bezel on a freaking GMT, right? I just don't care anymore. And I've also realized that I don't like ceramic bezels. I just don't like them. I think they're lifeless and they're too sterile. I much prefer, the vintage size of the old GMTs. But of course, as I said, I'm afraid of vintage, so I'm not going to buy one.
I think I like, if I'm correct, I only have one with a ceramic bezel.
The Daytona. And there I like it because it's shiny, right? And the whole watch is a bit of a shiny, blingy piece, even though it's steel, right? It has lots of reflecting surfaces, even though it doesn't have an oyster bracelet or a fluted crown. There's a lot that sparkles on that watch, right? It does have an oyster bracelet.
No Jubilee bracelet, where you have more flashiness and stuff.
More flash.
So I think there I like it, but generally I'm with you. I think this aluminum can have, or other things that you can do, PVD coated stuff and other things.
So my new really thing is stainless steel. I have 2 now that are stainless steel bezels, and I really, really like it. It takes scratches, it gets worn, it gets beat, and it's cool. I like the prospect of getting a scratched bezel with aluminum. I like the prospect of having a faded bezel. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can get.
Which I think leads me to a small tangent. We had this last time when we had somebody in the podcast, I think, where we talked about, do we even know if a modern watch that is produced these days even ages like the ones before, right?
So,
because the modern Lume, the modern products, the modern manufacturing
modern
process.
Lume will not age. We know that for a fact.
We do?
It will not age. Okay. Yes, we do. Everyone said this outright. Modern age, the Super Luminova, has no possibility of aging. On the other hand, I think we know that the aluminum bezels can age because people have bleached them. And they have faded.
They
to
will
look
definitely
like ghost bezels.
Get scratches for sure, right?
No, not just that. I had a buddy of mine who went out and bleached his bezel on his Tudor Black Bay 58.
So he
bleached
it
looked awesome with bleach. He literally took it off.
Okay.
He put it in a vat of bleach, took it out, and the black kind of faded into a gray.
Oh,
it looked awesome. It looked just like if it was sun bleached or sun, aged.
Okay.
We've seen Bark and Jack, Adrian Barker, to soak his Lume plots in coffee to make them turn colors. That's possible.
I have a photo with you standing next to him talking about a watch. I recently saw that when I looked at the Dubai Watch Week pictures where we talked to him. We still have the pictures to Adrian.
So anyway, That's irrelevant.
So that's the been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Doesn't care anymore. And then you get down to the settle with the one.
Yes.
The elusive grail, whatever it is.
Let's assume you're
just
also
the one watch that you like.
age-wise, you're probably, because considering the next point, this is probably the phase where in the very late adult phase where you're saying, okay, I'm close to retirement or retired. I know exactly what I want. This is the one.
Yeah, exactly. Or we're just one from your collection, and that you're just, I'm done with everything else. I'll wear the one that I like.
Yeah.
And that's the one. And then 11, you die.
Yeah. This chart goes to 11.
Exactly. Just like, what was that movie?
Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap, yeah.
Okay.
So now.
Then you die.
I don't agree with all of these.
No.
I agree with the majority of it, actually.
Yeah.
I disagree with the vintage portion of it. I think stage 5, we could go from buying all Rolex to just being a smartass. We don't need the it's vintage phase.
Yes.
And maybe we can throw in, after Rolex comes hot horology.
Wait a second. I think you're right. I think we should put a fork in, because I do think that you're going in one direction or the other.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
all right.
Because if you go the vintage route, I don't think you come back, right? I think you're not going into this.
No, not really. I mean, 50-50 maybe, but
the autorology phase where you're going like you outgrow Rolex, right?
And then you go into, whatever. So in my opinion, it's everything's fine. You have your Seikos, then you get your shitty Swiss, then you get your one decent Swiss, then you buy all the Rolexes. Then we go into the fork, right? And I took that fork. I bought my JLC. And what was funny is after the JLC, I kind of was like, I'm fine with this. This is as high up as I need to go. I do not need anything fancier than this. And then I took the nosedive after the JLC and started buying cheap things that I hadn't bought before. So I didn't buy any of these quote unquote real shitters, so to speak, until after my JLC.
Okay.
Because once I've reached the JLC, I felt, okay, I've reached probably one of the pinnacles of my collecting. So therefore, I'm okay with buying, Hamiltons and buying Oruses and all of this stuff. So that's kind of where I am with everything now is if you notice my collection, I've sold 2 Rolexes, a Cartier, and God knows what else. And I bought a Doxa. I bought, what else? A Seiko, 2 Grand Seikos. I bought a bunch of random stuff that made me smile, that made me happy, right? So that's kind of where I'm at.
Wow.
How what's
profound.
The word I'm looking for? Profound, yes, thank you. Very profound.
Yeah. So, I think I agree with you there. This is rare, but I think we can do this. So basically these phases are interesting. I think we all go through them to a certain extent if you are sticking around in this hobby. I have seen so many friends who got too much into the hobby during the COVID time when they just burned their fingers a bit with the money they spent on the watches in the uptrend, right? When everything got just more pricey and just more expensive every now and then. I mean, every few weeks basically. And then when the market turned sour, that's when they got their fingers burned, and now they're completely off the hobby, right? They maintain exactly. 2-3 watches and saying like, that's it, I'm not anymore in the hobby. I
was about there, right? Remember I told you I was going to sell my watches and I was going to get a smaller watch box and I was going to say, I'm done.
Yeah. And I had a friend who recently, he lost his job, unforeseen. And he had a good collection with a lot of, Daytonas and other things. He was a very Rolex-focused person, right? So he had a lot of these pieces. He got fired. He has 3 or 4 kids. So he basically said, I might need to sell a few pieces because now I am basically jobless, right? So we looked for prices. Of course, it wasn't the best time to sell, obviously, right? And some of the price watches he bought on the peak. So it's a bit tough. Anyhow, he found a new job and he didn't have to sell any of his watches. But the immediate idea he had when he lost his job was, I need to sell my watches, right? And since then, he never really came back into watches because he just brought. I think he thought, okay, that was an expensive lesson that I've learned. These watches will not be as. I will never get my money back, at least not in the next 10 years for what I paid. So I just keep them, be happy, but I'm not buying anything new.
Yeah, I can see that.
So,
but once again, isn't that what all of our kind of first go-tos are? It's even with our ridiculous, quote unquote passion or whatever you want to call it for these hobby. When both of my cars and the whole house was destroyed by that big hailstorm,
yeah,
my first thought was, I'm going to sell all my watches, and that'll pay for everything. And it's a very nice little cushy kind of thing, like a safety net almost that sits there.
That's true.
And you don't need them. You have them. You can sell them. You can start all over, and it won't make a huge difference.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I was thinking is yeah, these watches are nice, but I mean, it's the first thing that's going to go if need be.
That's true, and I think that's the realization that we have in this list there. When you see, yeah, been there, done that, and you think, okay, it's fine, and then the settling for the one, I still feel that's ambitious because I still sometimes feel
I would love it, except for the fact that I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, I think I've never be able to do this just one. I could see myself with 3, right? So one inconspicuous, everyday, can do everything, travel with me, go on safari with me, just do all of these things.
Which 3?
One that is nice and dressy and cool, a very nice statement piece, which is lovely, but also not too
Which
flashy.
One?
And
Come on,
then
we
the
want names.
third one is a bit of a fun piece.
Yeah, what?
What
are you going to choose?
No, I don't know which watch, but just like the 3 categories.
So I was thinking about this the other day, and I think I would go Speedy, Explorer, Reverso, boom, done, mic drop, I'm done.
No, that's too boring for me.
It is, but that's all you need.
Technically, you don't need anything.
Yeah, I know. But this is the thing is I had a boring watch collection for a long time, and I wanted things that were less boring, right? I still stuck to the no date rule, but I bought things that were colorful, that were neat.
But
Doxas with full lume dials.
Yeah. But talking about Rolex fatigue, I have to say this just now, totally a complete topic change. There's not a segue. I'm just saying it because we are at the end of our recording time. Rolex has released a teaser yesterday.
Did they? I didn't see it.
On Instagram. And they are releasing something tomorrow, 25th of February.
In terms of what?
Because that's when we are recording, it's the 24th of February. So I don't know. Obviously, with the teasers, we never know what's going to happen. But this time, it's not a teaser for Watches and Wonders yet. It is actually a teaser for tomorrow. And I have no idea what it is.
Let me see. I will look right now, just so we are on the same page.
Give me your first impression of what you think it could be.
Rolex. Let's see.
Yeah.
Frick. I put in Rolex, and guess what comes up? Everything but Rolex. So I need to search. I don't even know how to search for just Rolex.
Yeah, there's all the golfers. I think the pictures. This is the first post, and Roger Federer and skiers, and it says 25th February 2025.
All right, here we go.
Yes.
Rolex.
So you watch it.
Latest.
One face, another face, another
Which
face.
one? Oh, sorry. You said Instagram. I'm on YouTube over here.
You know Instagram.
I was on YouTube trying to see if it was, because they usually leak things or tease things on YouTube. All right, it's Tiger Woods.
Some other people.
But one was not a golfer, clearly.
There's also skier.
Skiers. 25. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's it. There you go. Now you've seen it. It is basically just an announcement that tomorrow something will happen. Maybe it's just a sports sponsoring or something. I don't know.
No. I don't know. It could be. It could be an announcement.
We don't know, because maybe with the Formula One season starting and obviously Rolex being out, maybe they just feel the need to sponsor some other sports now as a major sponsor or something. I don't know. Maybe it's something completely not watch related, because it would surprise me for Rolex to release a new watch so short before Watches and Wonders.
Yeah, it'd be weird.
It would be very weird. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think it would be a release. I don't know. We'll see tomorrow,
And
I
you
guess.
will
but,
know, dear listener,
it
what we
shows
don't
that-
once
Yeah,
we hear this
exactly.
episode.
Exactly. But I think people would have talked about it had it actually been a teaser for Watch. And we know how they make their teasers, those weird,
they show us some
tiny snippets.
shadows
Yeah.
and some
So exactly.
angles.
So I don't think this is that. This is some kind of sports thing. It was skiing.
yeah.
It was golf. It was, I don't know,
Correct.
maybe all of the sports they still sponsor.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what else? Who else actually did something which we have to quickly cover? We have a new Omega.
Another one.
Yes. As if we didn't need another one. I think it's like every week we talk now. We
Which
have
one?
the new bronze gold Seamaster.
Oh, yeah. We do have a bronze gold Seamaster. I kind of like it.
I kind of
I
like
have
it
to say.
too.
It looks pretty
cool,
good.
yeah.
I like it. But
Not on
Once
the
again, I
on the
wouldn't buy
bracelet though, but the price on
Now,
the bracelet
here's
is
the
so
thing.
expensive.
it is. But what would you do? Like you're a Seamaster guy. You like Seamasters.
Yes, I do.
Now, if Omega released a bronze watch, not a bronze gold, but an actual bronze watch, I would be like, you know how kind of Tudor and Oris did bronze watches for a while. I think it would be cool. Like I would like to see just a bronze. If it would look like this, I think a bronze Seamaster would be cool.
Yeah. I think, yeah, you're right. It could be really, really cool. I think this bronze gold has something because it's not actually bronzing so much in this case.
Yeah.
The bracelet makes it double the price. I think I just have pounds here. So 13,000 pounds and the bronze gold on the mesh bracelet with the bronze gold mesh bracelet, 26,000 pounds. Of course, in normal bronze, it would not be that much. And I would like bronze. But this bronze gold has, I think, everybody has their own formulation, of course. And here, this Seamaster bronze gold has, I think, 37% gold. So it's 9 karat gold, basically this case. So there's a lot of other
Then
stuff.
why is it 26,000 pounds?
Mm-hmm. And that's when you think, I could nearly get the solid gold Tudor for it.
I could buy the Tudor. No, it's not nearly. You could go and buy a full solid gold. 26,000 pounds is
Is it
125,000 dirhams roughly,
enough?
which is exactly what
I don't know. Okay.
let's see, Tudor solid gold
Let me just
Black Bay
check
58
because I should get
price.
everything here in this.
18 karat gold, 74K on strap. So what was it? How many? Let's see if here it is. Here's the one on the
26,000
bracelet.
completely.
132.
Oh yeah, it's
Which
28,000. Yeah, 28,000 I see here, 1,000 pounds. So 2,000 pounds more, you get a full 18 karat gold watch from Tudor.
Does not make sense. 28,000 pounds.
Yeah, 28,000 pounds with the mesh bronze gold bracelet. So bronze gold is not defined, right? It's not because it's 9K-ish gold. I think Zinn has bronze gold, which has even less gold in it than Tudor. So yeah, but I think bronze would be cool. I liked my bronze, my Black Bay 58 bronze. Not enough
It
to keep it
turns my hand
long-term.
green.
Yes.
That's the only issue.
But I tried the full solid gold one and I liked it. So yeah, it's available pre-owned half price or less even.
Which one?
Tudor.
Oh, the Tudor. Yeah.
So yeah, this is the problem with the
I
gold
thought you were
watches.
saying the if you would have said the Black Bay 58 in solid gold is available for half price, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
I'd buy a solid gold Tudor. It's such an FU, but in such a way that like it's understated at the same time. It's fully brushed. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And I think that's what makes it cool.
Yeah, I also thought the exact same thing. Like, who needs
And
this?
then they make the freaking bronze one that looks identical to it.
Yep, more or less. And I think
So it's like the time Omega made the platinum Seamaster 300, and then next to it they had the same exact dial on a titanium and stainless steel one. So they had 3 white metals all within different price points, and they looked identical.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And on this bombshell,
I think it's time.
we should call it an end. And we are thanking you for sticking around until here. And we look forward to speak to you again next week.
Yes, and in Instagram, you can always let us know in the comments which stage of the watch collecting journey are you at?
Exactly. And are you looking forward to the next few?
Are you already at 10? Are you going to die soon? Let us know.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.